Good morning. So we are doing a chapter which is the way to reach Krishna. So today's verses are going to give you how to reach Krishna. So we are in chapter 8, verse 6. Please remember, this is a very interesting chapter because in this chapter Sri Krishna reveals a very, very secret information, very profound and a deep information which 99.99% of the people have no clue about. Though the same information is given in all other scriptures, not just the Bhagavad Gita. Even if it is staring you in the face, you will not be able to listen or even see it. So that is the reason why pay attention to this chapter. It's a very interesting chapter. So we are doing Srimad Bhagavad Gita chapter 8 verse 6 onwards. Arjuna, thinking of whatever entity as one leaves the body at the time of death, that and that alone one attains, being ever absorbed in its thought. Now this is something which we Indians know very well. You might have seen some people dying in your life. And at that point in time, whoever is sitting around that person, it could be an old person, it could be a young man, it could be anybody. They will say certain words. They will say, take the name of God. You see, if you take the name of God, then it is going to be very good. So you will reach that heaven. Here Sri Krishna is giving you an idea of what the next life is going to be. See, here he is saying, whatever entity as one leaves the body, thinking of whatever entity, you can think of any entity. There are lots of people who have dogs, cats at home. I'm sure you have heard of a lot of people who have a lot of dogs at home. They are pets. Some of them have a lot of cats and they might be dying. And when they are dying, they are just thinking about who is going to take care of my dogs, who is going to take care of my cat. See, when they are thinking of that, Sri Krishna says, whenever thinking of whatever entity as one leaves the body at the time of death, that and that alone one attains, being ever absorbed in thought. So if the person is thinking of his own dogs or his cat, now from this sentence you can actually infer that the next life is going to be of a dog or a cat. Did you get it? Or, now there is a big or again. If you are thinking about how they will get taken care of, then the person becomes somebody who these have to take care of. It's actually the reverse of it all. So the idea of being in their company arises. Alright? In Ramakrishna Paramahansa's book, The Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, he has very clearly said that in case if you die while thinking of anything, maybe a small item, or maybe a gourd, or maybe a small vegetable, you may turn out to be a small worm in that. If you are thinking of mangoes, you may be a worm inside that mango plant, mango tree or mango. Why would you want to do that? So these are examples for you to understand. In our scriptures, there is one more story where The man is dying. And he calls out to his son. He says, Narayana, Narayana. He was meaning one Narayana, that is his son, but he ends up with another Narayana, which is the Almighty God. This is mentioned over there. Now imagine if this is what is mentioned in the scriptures, now comes the very critical part. When human beings are dying, they are thinking about their properties. What's going to happen to my property? You see, my children are fighting with each other. One son is fighting with another. Or the daughter is saying, I want this. And the son is saying, I want that. And there is so much of chaos in the family. The wife is thinking of something completely different. And maybe you are thinking, who is going to take care of my wife? These are called attachments. If you are thinking about your property, that's an attachment to the property. If you are thinking about your wife, that is an attachment to a person. If you are thinking about your sons and daughters who are fighting with each other, then you are thinking about them. Imagine if this is the criteria, if this is what you do, then you are going to come back again to the same people. But not necessary in that life of theirs. They may be alive for the next 30, 40, 50 years. Your wife whom you are leaving and going may be alive for the next 30 years. Or your children may be alive for the next 50 years. Doesn't matter. It is not that you are going to come back in that lifetime of theirs. No. You may come back in another lifetime of theirs. Got the answer? Because they may die thinking of something else. Did you get it? Your wife, when you are dead, may marry another person, remarried. And when she marries that other person and then she is dying and she may think of that man. So she may end up with that person. And then what happens to you? You were thinking about her when you were dying. Then in some lifetime, this whole equation has to meet again. The criteria is quite humongous. The whole permutation, combination of this is tremendous. It's so vast, it's so big. Can't imagine. That is the reason why when people come and ask me, Guruji, what is the meaning of the word karma? How does this work? Blah, blah. I tell them, don't get into it because it is such a huge subject, nobody can ever decipher it. But the answer is straightforward. This person has to meet that person because of attachment. Similarly, if you have an attachment to any object, let us say you are dying and you have a fancy Ferrari or some such car, or maybe a brand new Tesla that you are going to buy, or you might have bought. The Tesla is there and you are dying. Maybe you are meeting with an accident in the Tesla. Got it? Don't say that Teslas do not have accidents. They do. Even if it is a, AI type of a vehicle, automated or all those kind of, it doesn't matter. But let us say you are meeting with an accident and while dying, you are thinking, my poor car, finished. So what would you like to be in the next life? So did you get it? Even an attachment with another object can be a cause of your misery. You may wonder, that is a mechanical object. It may be an autonomous car. You say, oh, but that is a mechanical object. Why should I be bothered? Why will I get entangled with that object? Please understand, property is also like that, isn't it? Your own property is exactly like that. So what will happen to you? Because you are so much bothered about your property, you may end up being a rat in that property. You may build a small rat hole over there and stay on that property, thinking about the property all the time. Now this sounds quite hocus pocus to your ears, but please remember this. Even those who think that whatever is being written over here is all nonsense, but think what has happened in the past. There are lots of people who have died, thinking about their properties and stuff like that. Have you not seen ghosts in the property? You have seen? My own disciples, they have come back to me and told me, Guruji, there are a lot of problems, I think, in the new house that I have taken. And then I have to tell them, oh, don't worry, there are 3 of them, not just 1 of them. So, 3 of them, yeah. Now, you will see them one of these days. So this particular person whom I am talking about saw 2 black bodies one day, one more body. I said, see, those black bodies that are there, the darker ones, they are the owners of this property before you had taken. Not just before, but prior to it. It was an old house, so they consider it as their property. So they are hanging around over there. And anybody who comes over there, they don't like. Then I told them, I said, don't worry, they only mean this much. But they have a son who also died. And then one fine day, my disciple finds his own son sitting in the basement and saying that he is playing with his new friend. And you may think that this is all nonsense, but this is true. They found that there was a small other character in that place. Fortunately for them, none of these 3 did anything to them. And I said, don't worry, they are good enough. It's just that they feel that they own the property. So did you get this? Here is a live example. So this gentleman, he sold his property later on and he moved away. He has gone to another city in US. So this is the funny point. The idea is that if you die, having that thought that this is mine, I want it, you are going to get it. So this was just to establish the base and the foundation of the term, whatever that you think of at the time of death, you will achieve that. Now we come to the spiritual aspect of it. Why is Krishna telling us this? Krishna is telling us because he says, why are you thinking of all the wrong things? You are attached to your wife, your children, your house, your family, your brother, sister, whoever it might be. Why are you bothered about them? Bother about me, no? If you think of me, you will get to me. So did you understand? This is the way how the opening is, where in the next verse he tells you. So we will move to the next verse. This is chapter 8 from the Bhagavad Gita, verse 7. Now these are the words Sri Krishna is telling Arjuna. He says, therefore Arjuna, think of me at all times and fight. With mind and reason thus set on me, you will doubtless come to me. Remember, this is a battlefield, alright? This is in the middle of Kurukshetra. And Sri Krishna is giving this explanation to Arjuna. He is telling Arjuna, see, Arjuna, it is high time you pick up your weapons and start fighting. Come on, man. Don't be such a, oh, what am I going to do and all those kind of things. Don't do that. Just pick up your weapons and fight. What is the max that can happen to you? The worst thing that can happen to you is you can die in the battlefield, right? If you die in the battlefield and you want to come to me, just take my name. Keep on taking my name and fighting this battle. And when you fight this battle, you will, even if you die, you will come to me. Now this is a critical thing which he is telling Arjuna. You don't say this kind of words, to your friend, okay, maybe you are going to be dead. But you have to cover all the bases, isn't it? And that is the reason why it is important to see to it that no leeway is given anywhere. So Krishna is telling Arjuna, see, it is like this. When you only think of me and me alone, remember the previous verse that I told you, whatever you think of at the time of death, you will attain that. So if you think of me, don't you think you will attain me? Now this seems like an egoistic statement, but please remember, we are in chapter 8 and I told you he's going to reveal a lot of stuff over here. This is an important thing that he's told. That whenever you die, you please take the name of the Lord and you will attain him. The attainment of the object is so important after death. If you keep on thinking of a particular entity, you will attain that entity. If you think of any object, you will attain that object. You may wonder, one is a sentient being, another is a non-insentient being. Well, what is the difference? Don't worry, both are same. You may not look at an object, a metallic object, as having life. Isn't that what you are thinking of? You may say, oh, it's just a metallic object. What? It doesn't have any life. Don't misunderstand. You may wonder, what is metallic? It doesn't have life in it, you say, isn't it? You are thinking that it doesn't have any life in it. Don't miss the point over here. The object, let us say it's a stone, a diamond, maybe a knife or whatever. It is an object. Remember, object. And when he says you will attain that object, what does it mean? Your body is also an object. You are missing the point. Your body is made up of the 5 basic elements. Today you have a human body. Tomorrow you may have a bird body. Last life you may have been an elephant or some other. You could be anything. You could be a tree, a small tree, a plant. You could be anything. Do you think those objects which do not have life in them are not a part of this whole structure? This is the point which you don't. Please remember, they are a part of this whole universe also. Do you remember the story of the lady who was in the stone which got kicked by Sri Ram? Ahalya. Isn't it? Now, when he was walking over there, the stone got kicked and she rose from the stone. There were 2 creatures, they were divine beings who rose from the 2 trees which Sri Krishna pushed and they broke down during his birth also, after when he was a child. You know the stories, don't you? So you may think that it's just an object, but who says it's just an object? It is your way of looking. Imagine Sri Krishna's death and the entire fraternity of his. They all died because of a metallic object. Think. Who is this person? The metallic object was that pestle, which Samba had hidden in his stomach. And he was playing that game of a pregnant lady. And when Durvasa Muni comes over there, they make fun of him. The children. Samba is the son of Sri Krishna. He makes fun. And Durvasa Muni says to him, this pestle will be the cause of the entire destruction of your race. And Sri Krishna also is hit by the small arrow. You remember the arrow which hit him in his leg? with that koli. Koli means a farmer, a fisherman. The fisherman is fishing and he sees something fluttering over there. So he takes his bow and arrow and shoots. That arrow hits Sri Krishna and Sri Krishna leaves his life over there. Because of that, Mara is the name of the person. So when Mara is coming to say, I'm very sorry, to Sri Krishna, he says, don't worry, it's a part and parcel of your last life. You see, when you were dying in your last life, I killed you in your last life. And when I killed you in your last life, when I was Sri Ram, so I hid behind a tree and I fired an arrow and you got killed and your brother got the kingdom. At that time I had promised you that in your next life you will hide amongst the trees and then you will also shoot me and I will die because of that. So did you see the whole thing comes back to where it started? The previous verse. Whatever thing that you think of, whatever object or a person that you think of before dying, that object you will get. So Krishna gives an answer, think of me alone. If you think of me alone, you will get me, nobody else. Now, why is Krishna saying these words? I will reveal it to you when we cross this chapter. When we are crossing this chapter, every line over here is a revelation. So this is another revelation. Think of me and you will come to me. Got it? So we will move to the next one. We are doing chapter 8, verse 8. From the Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna, he who with his mind, disciplined through yoga in the form of practice of meditation and thinking of nothing else, is constantly engaged in the contemplation of God, attains the supremely effulgent divine Purusha God. Now in this there are a couple of things which he is talking about. First and foremost, the disciplined mind. And this is a very, very difficult thing for human beings to do. How do you discipline your mind? You know, your mind is literally like a quagmire. It is thinking of hundreds of things. This one, that one, that one, that one, that one. You just think, that now I'm not going to think of anything. I'm just going to sit over here and not think. Say these words and see for yourself. You can test out. And suddenly you will start thinking of something completely different. Why is that? It is because your mind is literally always in a whirl. It's always going here, round, 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 round. It's constantly moving. It is so much having a movement that you may be sitting in one place and yet you are thinking of something completely different. Hey, imagine. What has anything got to do with what you are thinking of just now? No, but that object will suddenly come in front of you. Why? Because your mind starts thinking. And mind is like that. Distraction is a must for a mind. Everything is so distracted, Think this. Have you seen any of the South Indian movies? You see, when you watch a beautiful movie in South India, there are songs in it. Now this is the songs where they have the grand songs, big. The hero and the heroine are there, no doubt about it. And in that, they might suddenly break out into a song. Okay? And when the song is the moment they break out into a song, hundreds of people appear around them. Have you noticed it? And the hero will be wearing some very strange kind of dress. He will be wearing some pink and purple and blue and very gaudy colors. But why is he wearing the gaudy colors? Because he has to stand out with those 100 dancers. You see, all those 100 dancers look alike. You don't look at those dancers. Do you look at those dancers? Unless and until you are a director of that film, if you are a choreographer, then you will say, hey, your steps are not correct. You will say those words. But otherwise, as an audience, you are not even bothered about how many people are dancing. So there are, say, 20 people dancing or 100 people dancing around. They all are in synchronicity. They are dancing like this, like this, like this, like this. They are putting the steps correctly. You got it? Exactly. Tuck, 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 tuck. You know that? 4 step and 4 step, 8 steps total. That's it. They are doing that only. Did you notice that the background changes color all the time? It's bright pink, yellow, green. It's a vast canvas. Similarly, the heroine at least changes 5 garments in that one song. Do you know why this is? It's your mind. It has to be concentrated on that dancer, the main hero and the heroine. Got that answer? Even in now there are lots of Bollywood film people also, they also come up with this grand song and dance. Bansali. He will have a dance where the heroine must be wearing a sari which is costing lakhs and lakhs of rupees. Why is that such a big set over there? You will wonder. It is because your mind, which is in a flutter all the time, it has to be focused on that person. So to focus your mind on an object, you got to have the most attractive object in front of you. Did you get it? So now, there's a very beautiful movie in the past where Marilyn Monroe, a very heroine from the 50s, and now she is seen with a red dress. That red dress and the dress flying like this, you can't take away the eyes from her. See? That is how it is. Why? It is because that object has become the center of attraction to you. Similarly, when you fall in love, you are in love. Day and night, you are only thinking of that one object. Your phone is with you, you are constantly looking at the messages. And when you are not looking at the messages, you will take out a photo and keep on looking. Dekho teri photo. You know that song is there. It's like that. You keep on watching the photo. For what? Attraction. So here he is saying, with your mind disciplined through yoga in the form of practice of meditation, I am giving you the idea of meditation. People have this weird notion that they will sit in one place, and I can guarantee you one thing. People say that I am meditating. It is never meditating. They are always thinking of 100 different things. There isn't a single person in this world who can say that he is meditating. Because meditation doesn't happen. In most of these meditation classes, a man either falls asleep, or while meditating he is thinking of hundreds of different things, or he is trying to think of some one entity or something like that, and he is never able to focus. This is the truth. People don't want to accept it. So they say, I am going for meditation class. What meditation class, sir? Especially in all these institutions, big ashrams, institutions, you will find these guys are sneakily looking everywhere. This is called meditation. Even in your own room, if you sit and you think that I will sit and I will meditate, after some time you will fall asleep because you can't meditate. Meditation is being in constant touch with that object continuously. There should be no gap in the middle. There should be no blip in the middle. You can't suddenly, somebody is calling out my name. You can't do that. The rarest of the rare people in the world can meditate. Not everybody cannot meditate. And like I said, 1 in a billion can meditate. Now all these classes are run by, now in all across the world, there are all these people, they run meditation classes. The meditation classes is run by some teacher. The teacher is not qualified. No, he is not qualified to take a meditation class. Yet he will stand over there. We will start our meditation. What meditation are you talking about? And that meditation, they will put on some music somewhere, and they will, or maybe they'll do something like this, and the meditation starts. It doesn't work like that. That person is also not bothered. He is in his phone. Have you noticed? The teacher that is there, if you open your eyes and look like this to him once, that guy will be lost in the phone, or there will be another good-looking teacher with him. He is lost with that good-looking teacher. And they are always a team. Why are they always a team? Have you ever thought why they are always going together? There you can understand, isn't it? So meditation doesn't happen. So what is meditation? I explained to you first, and then I came to what is not a meditation. So did you get the point? What is meditation? When you keep on thinking of your girlfriend 24/7 and looking at her photo and thinking about her message, you are constantly in meditation with her. And when you are very hungry, and hunger is driving you crazy, I'm hungry, I'm hungry, I'm hungry, I'm hungry, I'm hungry. That thought keeps on coming to you. That is meditation. Thinking about that one object consistently without a gap in the middle is called meditation. Meditation cannot be taught to anybody. So he says, he who with his mind disciplined. In the Kali Yuga, it is impossible to discipline the mind. You know when the mind gets disciplined? There are people who are attempting all those examinations. They want to get into the IIMs and IITs and the Harvards of this world. What do? They are heads down, focused and solving the problems. These kind of people are meditating on that subject. I want to go to Harvard, I want to go to IIM, I want to get into IITs. They are focused in that. And their one-pointedness is more important. So we have come to the next step, single-pointedness. Whatever object that you meditate on, that you keep on thinking about it, with single-pointedness, that practice of meditation. And thinking of nothing else. Here he is telling you, you can't think of anything else simultaneously. No. You are not allowed to think of anything else. So when this man who is in love with his girlfriend, he is only thinking of her. So when his mother calls out to him and says, why are you not having your dinner? Why are you not doing this? He is least bothered because it has not entered his brain also. Why? Because he is constantly lost in that. Have you noticed the children who play these video games? They are so lost in it. If you have brought some game for your kid, or you have seen some children, if you go to a restaurant or a hotel outside, have you noticed there are small children, whose the parents have given the phone to them so that they don't disturb them. And the child is completely lost in that small stupid cartoon character of his. That is the one. That is, he's only thinking of that character and nothing else. So this is meditation with single-pointed mind. So mind has to be clear of all other things and focusing on that one thing alone. So Arjuna, he who with his mind disciplined through yoga. The term yoga, what does it mean? Yoga, people normally consider the Hatha yoga activity that they do, All these fancy people on Instagram and all these TikTok and all these nonsensical channels, Facebook, Twitter and everywhere, I don't know, all this social media, you will find they're doing yoga. Please, yoga doesn't mean any of those things. You are thinking Hatha yoga is that. It's a body's exercise. It's never going to take you to God. It's an exercise connected to the body. You are only going to have a good body, provided you do it continuously. You do yoga for 6 months and after that you don't do for 6 months, your body is going to go out of shape. Imagine, along with yoga you are doing pranayama. Those kind of things. You are doing all kinds of stuff. And suddenly you will do Bhastrika. Like that. Okay. You have learned all this nonsense from people. And now you are doing all that. And then, a few months later you leave the class and you get so bored with it, and I can guarantee, I can write and give you. There isn't a single person on this planet Earth who can consistently do one thing continuously. No. Nobody is there. People say, I am always doing yoga. Sorry, sir, you are not. In 365 days, how many days have you not done yoga? Can you mark them on the calendar? You will find that they have not done. So all this giving the mind its own things is there. So yoga doesn't mean that physical activity. No. Yoga means union. Union means coming together. In other words, we say yoga, which means what? By chance coming together. If you meet your friend, suddenly in the middle of the road, hey, I was just thinking of you, and here I see you in the middle of the road. Yoga, perchance. So yoga means union. And in spirituality, the word yoga means union with God. So do not misinterpret this term. Union with God. So when you do yoga, he says, in the form of practice, meditation and thinking of nothing else, is constantly engaged in contemplation of God, attains the supremely effulgent divine Purusha. So if you have only one love in your life, you see, you had a girlfriend there. Now, Sri Krishna is saying, if you only love God, then you're only going to think of Him, isn't it? Your one love is God alone. So he says, is constantly engaged in the contemplation of God. So your yoga is union with God. So when you are united with God 24/7, then there is no chance of you going anywhere else. You will come straight to God. This is very easily said, but very difficult to achieve. The reason is because we do not believe in the God that well. When you fight with your wife or your children, when your boss says something to you, when your friend ditches you, when your bank says, I want your money upfront, when the person who is selling you vegetables says, today the cost of the vegetable is 100 rupees kilo, or you go to the petrol pump and the petrol has turned 100 rupees a liter, do you know you don't believe in that God at all? Then you start fighting with that fellow. Yesterday the rate was so much, today why is it so high? How funny is that? Your wife starts arguing with you on certain points. Where is the God over there? There is no God there. When the children look at you and say, Father, you are an idiot. Where is the God there? No God there. When your boss looks at you and says, I gave you this work, this little stupid work to do, and you can't even do that. You're not worthy of this bloody company. Get out from here. My boss shouted at me. You see, you want to give it back to him. Where is the God there? Nowhere. When your bank account is zero, at that time, where is the God there? No God there. When you are in dire trouble, when your nearest and the dearest, they might have got coronavirus. Where is the God there? No God there. These are stupid reasons why you keep on leaving God. We do not realize that everything is ruled by one entity only. Finally, He is the boss in everything. You have no control over anything. Have you noticed it? Even your wife shouting at you or talking back to you or telling you to go and do some work, it's not in her hands. She is doing as per the will of the divine. Your children telling you you are a nincompoop is the will of the divine. You feeling miserable because there is no money with you is the will of the divine. Can anybody control this pandemic? No, China can control it also. By saying that, okay, we will save the universe, we will do this and we will do that, and carbon footprint and blah blah, all those kind of things, you really think you can do that? No. Our whole life has gone in trying to solve problems and we have never been able to solve the issues. You may have the fastest train in the world and yet you cannot guarantee you are going to reach in time. You see, in India they are making trains which are super fast. From here to Chennai, from Bangalore to Chennai, from Mumbai to Delhi, from Mumbai to Ahmedabad. They can keep on making all kinds of trains. They can have the super fast, they can have the 450 kilometers per hour train also. And yet you can't control anything. You can say we are trying to save the universe, we are, plastics causing problem, blah, 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 all those things. You really think you can control? Nothing. So why not think that we are just a tool in the hands of the divine? We are responsible only to this one. When I think that the job given to me is given by my God, this wife, these children are nothing but God's children only. They are just there for me as a support system. The money that is there, if it is not there in the bank account, He doesn't want me to have it right now. We never accept situations. We never accept anything. That is the reason why we feel miserable. The day you accept it, that everything is done by the divine, and that is the time you will constantly be engaged in the thought of God alone. Because the contemplation of God attains supremely effulgent divine Purusha or God. Now here is the crux of the issue. When Ravana was fighting with Sri Ram, he was only thinking of Sri Ram, constantly thinking, I want to kill him, I want to kill him, I want to kill him, I want to kill him. Whom? Sri Ram, Sri Ram, Sri Ram, Sri Ram. When you think of one object, that object you will achieve. Verse number 6. Whatever object that you think of at the time of your death, that object you will achieve. So when Ravana died, His form, his subtle body entered Sri Ram. Same thing with Sri Krishna also. Shishupal, Kamsa, all these people only thought of Krishna. Krishna, you are the villain in my life. I want to kill you, Shishupal said. And when he died, he entered the body of Sri Krishna. This is the truth. Even if you hate that one, when you are dying, you may be thinking of that one only when you are dying, isn't it? I hate you people. And when you do that, you will attain that object of your hatred. Because you are thinking of that object when dying. This is the answer. So you may love Krishna or you may hate Krishna. And at the time of death, whenever you think of him alone at the time of death, you will attain him. No other one. So we move to the next verse. So we are doing chapter 8 from the Bhagavad Gita, and we are doing verse 9 now. So Bhagavad Gita chapter 8 verse 9. He who contemplates on the all-knowing, ageless being, the ruler of all, subtler than the subtle, the universal sustainer, possessing of a form beyond human conception, effulgent like the sun and far beyond the darkness of ignorance. You will attain this form if you keep on thinking of this. He who contemplates, when you contemplate only on that. Contemplation means all your thoughts are directed to that one object alone. Did I not tell you that if you want to appear for your examination for IITs, the entrance examination for IIT or IIMs or any of these IAS or whatever exam that you want to do, you're so focused in that? That is the focus we are talking about. He who contemplates on all-knowing. Who is all-knowing? We will just call him right now Almighty God. At this moment, let us say he is the Supreme God. The God, he is all-knowing. He is ageless being. He doesn't have an age, he doesn't have birth, neither death. So if he doesn't have birth or death, can you tell his age? Nobody can tell the age of God, because he existed before you were born. And he is going to exist even after you are dead. So at the beginning of time, when people say there was a beginning of time, who started this time? God only must have started, no? So that means he was there before time, during time, and after the time. He is going to be there constantly. So what makes you think that he came into existence because some people started thinking of it? You know, we have this great atheist in this world who will say, you are the one who created this God. Why? Because you wanted to write stories, you means the people, okay? They wrote stories 3,000, 4,000, 7,000, 10,000 years ago. Somebody wrote the story, he created the God. Nobody can create God. God existed even before that stupid thought came into your mind. So nobody has created. Some people have written stories on God because they are called sages and saints. Why have they written the stories? They have written the stories so that you can understand. Idiots like us, zero brains, we don't have any brain. How do we understand God? You can't see your own, in front of your nose, anything. What you will see God? Nobody sees God. Everybody sees, mera paisa gaya, my property is gone, my girlfriend left me and went away, my boyfriend did like this, and these are the only thing that we can think of. God, nobody has heard of, nobody has seen of. So these sages, what they did was, they wrote stories for us, so that we can understand the divine. That is why it is called Adhyatmik, spiritual. Okay? So the sages wrote the story. But God existed prior to anything and everything. That means He is eternal. He cannot be just brought right now and created. No, He is always there. So He is ageless, being the ruler of all. He is the ruler of everything. Whether you take the smallest of the creatures to the biggest of the creatures, to our earth, which is a tiny blue dot, to the entire expanse of this whole universes, not one universe, universes. He is the master of everything. Who created this universe? Only one. We don't know Him. That is why, because we have such a petty small brain, this much only, one dot. How can we, with our small minds and brains, understand the divinity of God? So we can't. That is why He says He is the ruler of all, subtler than the subtle. He is there in the subtlest of the objects also. Things which we can think of and things which we can't even think of. If you have to imagine, is He there over here just now? We can't see. Because our eyes can only see in a certain range. Before that and after that we can't see. Can you? Nobody in this world has X-ray vision. Superman has. Okay, but Superman is an imaginary creature. So yeah, we don't have. Far beyond that and far beyond that, we don't have the scope. We can only see in the visible spectrum. The invisible spectrum is not there for us to see. So beyond that, He is beyond the spectrum also. Beyond the oral hearing also. That means there are certain sounds which we can hear, certain we can't hear. Ultrasonic we can't hear. Do you think you can hear what the other fellow's mind is thinking? I can't think what the other person is thinking, can I? No. That is called subtle. Subtle. Your mind thinks. How does the other person know? No. So He is beyond the subtle. So subtle of the subtlest. It is beyond the subtle. So He is like that. The subtler than the subtle, the universal sustainer. This whole universe is sustained by one God alone. Why one? Because there has to be only one. If I have multiple gods, they can't be, it can't be G-O-D-S. It's only G-O-D. So this Almighty God is only one. He is the universal sustainer. He sustains the whole universe. It is said in the Bhagavata, Sri Krishna, there is a tiniest of, it's like a dust at the feet. That how big is our universe. And He sustains it just like that. With His glance, His loving glance, He just sustains it. That's how it is. So, possessing a form beyond human conception. This is a strange sentence. People have this vague, understanding that God doesn't have a form. Who told you that? The people, those who believe in the Brahma, the unmanifest, they can't think of a form. Can you think of a form? No. The form of God. Can anybody think of a form of God? Oh, they can think of all these gods that are there. Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva. All these gods they can think of because somebody's imagination has drawn them. Please remember one thing. When I say the imagination is drawn them, the idea is what is it that you wish to see? And I will create that object for you. If you want to see a God with 3 hands, I can create that. If you want to see Him with 100 hands, that I can create. What form do you wish to see? So to satisfy the form, Sri Krishna gives a darshan of his multifarious forms to Arjuna in the same book, the Bhagavad Gita. Later on it is there. I don't want to go into it just now, but think the forms which you wish to dwell on. Some people dwell on a form which is Ganesha. Some people dwell on a form which is Hanumanji. Some people dwell on a form which is Narsimha Avatar. Somebody will dwell on Krishna Avatar. Somebody will dwell on Sri Ram, Jesus. Whatever form that you wish to take, think, dwell on, you can. There is a controversy, the very funny thing which happens in the world. They all say, by looking at history, that Jesus could not have been a fair guy, fair skin. And that controversy is so much that Jesus must have been a dark guy. Sir, whatever form you want Jesus to be in, he will appear like that. So, what form do you want him to see? What form do you want him to be in? He will appear like that. Why are you bothered? Any form. So here he says, possessing a form beyond human conception. You can't even conceive the form in your imagination also. The God's form is not possible for human conception. I can't think. No, they can't even think when they are doing Star Trek or Star Wars or whatever. No. Neither can James Cameron think of a form of God, by the way. He thought of all those people from Avatar movie. But frankly speaking, nobody can visualize God. God has a form which nobody can conceptualize. That is why he says he possesses a form. This is a very important word. We are going to come back to this word in another verse. Possessing a form beyond human conception. You can't think of that form. Effulgent like the sun, which means, see, sun is self-effulgent. This is only a comparison. It doesn't mean he is like the sun. People think like that. No, he is not like the sun. He is effulgent like the sun. That means he is the power source of everything. That means he is himself the power. Got it? And far beyond the darkness or ignorance. We are all ignorant people. We can't think of hundreds of things that he can think of. God can think of anything. His ignorance is not there at all. He is only knowledge incarnate. He is that which is only effulgent with knowledge. You see, when you say that bulb glows over here, the cartoon characters you see, ting, that comes on. It's called idea, isn't it? Now think about it. What does it mean? The glowing bulb means idea. The glow in the behind the head means effulgence. God is effulgence, which means knowledge. If that is idea, that is knowledge. Knowledge incarnate. He is the knowledge incarnate. There is no other word for that. Got the answer? So in this verse he says, he who contemplates, you have to contemplate on this kind of a God. There is no other God except this one. He is all knowledgeable, he is effulgent, he is all knowing, he is ageless, he is a ruler of all, he is subtler than the subtlest, the universal sustainer. He takes care of the whole universe, possessing a form beyond human conception. You and I can't think of his form at all, effulgent like the sun and far beyond the darkness of ignorance. So we have come to the end of verse 9. Next time we will start from verse 10. Thank you very much for joining me today. And we have at 9:30 the Guru Charitra Satsang. If you wish to join, you can do so. 9:30 to 10:30 that will be in another half an hour's time. See you all. Take care. Bye.